See how well this will work if I'm not connected to the Wi-Fi for a garden tour later today. I'm thinking of doing harvesting some kale, taking that inside, doing a kale smoothie, but while I'm gathering the kale, doing a little walk around the garden, showing the current state of things, and just kind of sharing where my garden is at the moment. So I just wanted to make a quick video just to test that out. Kind of run through walking around the garden maybe and see how that goes. So let's flip that around and I can start sharing my garden. A gnome had a video that I was going to start naming my gnomes if I get subscribers, but nobody even watched the short where I was talking about it. So we'll see how that goes later. The video's still out there. So if I get viewers, I will put that out for suggestions for gnome names. Some peppers, some I planted, some I purchased just to try to get some peppers growing. Let's see, got some marigolds because I needed marigolds. Got some sunflowers that I did plant those. That one's growing very nicely. It's like a fun and sun variety of different types of sunflowers. So it's coming along. This is my tomatoes, so I've got several varieties of tomatoes growing. Using this little way to get them to go vertical. So they're getting tall enough now, they're starting to get up into the structure, and hopefully that will help me to organize them and keep them strong. You can see I've got butterflies all in the garden. Love having all the butterflies. This is one of my 3 Amish potato towers. This is my design based on internet research and trying to figure out how to do this. I just added some more compost and straw today to these, but this one I didn't build up as high as the other one, so I'll probably do this one again just to go ahead and add up some more soil in there. And looking down this way, we see all of my sunflowers along the fence line. And then I've got, be careful not to step on these, but I've got some bottle gourds growing. This is pumpkins. That is Jack D. Littles, so it's little mini pumpkins, like softball size. This is a volunteer sunflower that decided to grow, and it has already caught up with the ones in the back that are mammoths. So I'm thinking that this is some mammoth sunflower seeds that fell and just decided that they wanted to grow. So I have a nice little cluster of sunflowers growing right there. Looks like there's 3 stalks growing. Behind that is my cantaloupe. This is hopefully going to be my 3 sisters. So I'm starting with corn. Now that that's taller, I'm going to plant some beans in there and then some squash. So we'll see how those all kind of work together, grow in that space. You can see I've got a few extra tomatoes. I did like the little tomato pots for those, just have a chance to grow some other interesting varieties. Just wanted to sample some other types of tomatoes. And got some different types of lettuce growing. I've got radishes and bok choy and Swiss chard and eggplant. I think is mustard greens. It's one that survived through the winter. I don't know exactly what was planted. See, a few leaves have been eaten up there. This is my collards. I've done a couple of collards recipes on my channel. This is my kale, which is growing fantastic. Nice and tall now, shading beneath that I planted this year. That one survived from last year, started growing. And got some other just mesclun greens and different types of things growing there. This is my, which one is this? This is my sugar baby melon. So this is like a little mini watermelon. And of course, more sunflowers in the back. And then these are my watermelons. And more sunflowers in the back. More varieties of tomatoes. Which this is my collection of different types of cherry tomatoes. So we'll see how those grow. I'm already starting to get a few cherry tomatoes in there. Looking forward to eating those. This is some lettuce that started growing randomly in my loofah. I'll show you my loofah in just a moment. Yeah, so this is my cucumber teepee. My sister sent me a link to that, and I've seen many like AI generated versions of that. This one was doing really good. See, I've already got a cucumber down here, but I've got ants that are coming into my garden, and they are just all over these. You can look close, you can probably see if you climb, walking around on there. So I've been trying to get rid of the ants on my cucumbers. I've got several more forming, but yeah, they're not looking nearly as good as they did a week or so ago. You can see that one's not looking very good at all, at least down near the bottom. Those were thriving, they were looking nice, but it looks like they're recovering. They're getting some darker green, but you can see there's ants all over that one still. This is my long beans. So this is like a really long green bean. So I'm growing those from some seeds that I got from some that were growing at the community garden at work last year. So I want to give those a try. So actually being able to use the seeds from the ones that were growing there to produce mine. This is loofah. And it's starting to vine up. I've got these two trellises here for the long beans and the loofah to grow on, but for the moment I got some grapes, and the grapevine is already spread out and it's crossing both of the trellises. So yeah, the loofah is growing. It's starting to climb up. I'm looking forward to seeing how that produces. Wanting to try cooking some when it's smaller, and then once it gets larger, actually making a loofah out of it, like a bathroom scrubber kind of thing. All right, and then we'll go along this side. This is my strawberries. When I did the strawberry jam, that's where those came from. And then behind that, I didn't show it because this is a better angle. That's my sugar snap peas. So that's kind of my snack bar. When I come into the garden, I've got strawberries, sugar snap peas, and cherry tomatoes to kind of snack on while I'm in the garden. I've got onions in those. And then carrots, which I planted a lot of carrots, and only one of them is growing, it seems like. So I planted some more pretty recently this past week. I've got some broccoli growing. I've already collected some broccoli from there. Not enough to really do it as a recipe for a cooking chat, but I've got a little broccoli from that. I've got some straight neck yellow squash. Got some lima beans. I've got one that's growing. The rest of them didn't really survive, so I just planted some more. This is my pinto beans. They're doing really good. They're starting to climb up pretty high. Bush beans and blue lake beans, I've kind of haven't had much success with those yet this year. I grew a lot of them last year, but they're not growing very well for me this year, so I just recently replanted those. And then this is another like a stringless green bean. So those are growing. And then we're back over here to my peppers. And that's kind of the tour of the garden. I've got clematis that were growing on there. They look really pretty, but they've kind of died back for the moment. Behind me, you can see my compost area and the dog digging into something over there. And then I'll get to these in a minute, but that's all my bottle planters I've got along the fence line. Nice little sitting area here. Pool box that'll turn into a garden box. My potting table, which do a lot of little projects on that table. See, I just wound up my hose. Got that run over here. And then, yeah, I built this garden fence myself last year. That'll be in the 2025 video when I finally do it. But this is my garden fence with all of my bottle planters. I did a video where I was making those from Diet Mountain Dew bottles. So these first ones here, that's like a garden salad lettuce. So I've got several of those, kind of waiting to see how those grow. They stay moist, and I just add water back in there occasionally. If it rains, I've got holes in there so that it can't get, it doesn't like drown them. It'll overflow out of there. So it keeps a good balance. A lot of different things growing. Had some baby choy in those, but I didn't ever harvest them, so they're kind of going to flower. So kind of just enjoying seeing that. And then a lot of these are as I'm clearing the tops off of plants as they start to flower. I'll just put them out here. This is some onions I planted. So I've got some like bunching onions in those. Yeah, so I just got random things that I clipped off something in the garden and put it out here so I can see the flowers. This is one of my compost bins. This is kind of the one that's not as processed yet. So that one's still breaking down. And then this one is more shredded, and hopefully by the time I need more compost for my potato towers, this will be all ready to go. So that's going to need a few more weeks. And then just bags of leaves, wheelbarrows. I moved this bench back here. I did have it on the other side of the fence. I just moved it back here today as I was working on the potato towers. So just a place to kind of store a couple of bales of straw that I need. And the tarp I pull over as I'm doing compost. This is my 200-gallon rainwater barrel that I got recently. I did a video on that. So I've been collecting my rainwater in buckets and then transporting it over here. I can use the faucet there, put it into a bucket, and then I can use that in my garden. So I can actually use rainwater in the garden. It's pretty cool. I'm liking it. I'm going to expand on that when I get to another property later. Alright, and then we got more bottle planters all along this side. So just lots of fun stuff growing there that, didn't want to have it mess up the plants in the garden, so I put them in the bottle planters. Alright, this is my potatoes in my tower, my epic tater tower. So I just added a layer to that one today. Filmed that. That'll be a video later on the channel. And I did that one as well. So those are going really nice. And so that's the second layer, and the potatoes are already that far up above the surface, so they're growing quick. Hopefully I have a lot of potatoes out of that this year. This is a mulberry tree that has started growing. So I'm going to try to train that and kind of shape it, and hopefully that produces some mulberries this year. So I want to see how that goes. This is my compost bin. Since it's underneath a pine tree, I put a little protection there so it doesn't mix all the pine needles in with my fresh mulch there. And then this is kind of my messy mulch. This is like dog poop and pine needles and stuff I don't want to put in my garden, but it might be useful for, repairing some of this yard, because there's a lot of sand in our yard. A lot of pine needles have fallen here, so figure I can maybe use that as a mulch to repair some of the backyard and try to get some grass growing. And then this is a Father's Day present from my wife and daughter. This is like a motion sensing bird feeder that notifies you when the birds are nearby, and will send you a picture. It'll identify the birds. I think it's pretty cool. Haven't had anything land on it yet. The birds haven't found it, but shouldn't be too much longer. And then this is a wind chime that I will mention only because I did a little short where I was doing a sprinkler and had it spraying this, and said every time the wind chime rings, a butterfly gets its wings. And I thought it was really cool, and then nobody watched it. So yeah, just another fun little thing I tried on YouTube. Didn't get success yet, but maybe it will later. This was a little fire pit kind of thing that we were going to do in the backyard, and I think we've used it once since we put it out here. But we got some nice chairs there that I'm sure we'll get use at our future home. And yeah, that's kind of the tour of the backyard. This is an old pool that my daughter used to wash the dogs, and it's kind of stayed back here, so I was using it on different projects as I've been working on things. One of my son's tires that got a nail in it. I was thinking I might be able to use that as a planter or something at some point, so I brought that back here. But yeah, that is my garden. And now that I've done my test run, I need to get prepared for the real thing and try to figure out a recipe for a kale smoothie that I can make from my garden later. Alright, well, nobody watched this one because it's unlisted, but I may save this garden tour for later. Alright. Well, I think I will end it there. Let's switch it back to me for a nice, thanks for watching. See you next time.